How do you sort out the so-called jargon from real-world practices that work? Do the members of your organization find some business or technology advice utterly confusing? Welcome to Real Talk with Sam Holcman. In this program, we set the record straight, and in terms that business people and technology people can understand. Now, here is your host, Sam Holcman.
Welcome to this edition of Real Talk. This is Sam Holcman. Thanks for listening. The topic for this particular broadcast is data and AI. This is probably not the only podcast that you'll hear from me and others on this particular topic. I want to start off with a few words that you need to consider when it comes to the data that you or others are using for AI. Data trust, data context, data integration, data ownership, yes, ownership, intellectual property theft, data governance, data quality, data accessibility, and data availability. There's probably others. A little bit of list for you to think about. All of these impact your use of artificial intelligence. And unfortunately, for most of us, yes, most of us, we have no clue on any of these items. We just use them, which leads us to some interesting phrases that people have used. One of my favorites is AI hallucinations. Give me a break. AI is not hallucinating. It's fabricating. That's the term we should use. Yeah, we want to scare some people. We want to scare you. Not really scare you, but get you aware of what is actually going on out there. It's kind of dangerous. And that's why we educate and teach and consult with our clients in what we call EAI, Enterprise Augmented Information, which harnesses your data DNA, your competitive advantages, which are not on the internet. You would never put your competitive advantages on the internet. Harness those to augment the information that you have there. So, for example, if you don't know where your data is coming from, if you can't find your data, how do you know AI is looking in the right direction? Data needs to be cleaned. It needs to be vetted. As the old phrase goes, we've heard this time and time again, garbage in, garbage out. The problem is we don't know what's coming in, but we can suggest what is coming out. How about data ownership? Are you in compliance with the use of the data that you're using, or is your AI engine, or is there some obscure phrase in there that says, caveat emptor, buyer beware, danger, 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 but it's not our responsibility because you're silly enough to push the button that says I accept. I know we all do that. Data context. One of the examples that we talk about in our class all the time is the Walt Disney Company's data context. They call you and I guests. They call their employees cast members. That's the context in their organization. These are very different than dictionary definitions of those terms. And it notes sort of like their philosophy, which is wonderful. You and I are guests, and their cast members are putting on acts for us to make us happy, the happiest place on earth, as the phrase goes. That's the context of what is going on. And, of course, trust. If you're trusting AI to make a decision, can you trust the data that it used? Can you trust the AI use of that data? If you don't know where it came from, where it's coming from, where it was, where it is, whether it's governed, who owns it, what's governance for that particular thing, and what the accessibility is? Well, of course not. Let's take a hard look at this whole thing here right now. this obsession, as I unfortunately call it, with artificial intelligence. It is a marvelous tool. Emphasize the term tool. But a tool in the hands of a fool makes the individual a bigger fool. And the last thing we want you or others to become is fools. And what's even worse is possibly the liability of using that stuff foolishly. So let's think about this whole thing. I'm not throwing it away, but let's make sure that the data, the oil that is used for artificial intelligence is good. There are solutions there. Think about that. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for tuning in to Real Talk. Be sure to join your host, Sam Holcman, again for another edition of our program. We'll have more real topics of discussion then.